Hello?
Hey, this is Jackie calling about your request to get a higher credit.
Hello, hello. Welcome back. Welcome back. Everybody's joining back in. Sorry about that. My Zoom account has not been pushed through as professor yet. So we got knocked out. What I'm gonna do, because we got 40 minutes, I'm gonna go ahead and keep rolling with it. Okay. Okay. Share my screen. All right. So thank everybody for coming back in with us. Okay. Get back to where we were at. Here. Okay. So if you're just joining back in, again, our 8 essentials was heading, lead, byline, subheading, call out, graphics and photos, your caption, and a sidebar. Okay. That was your main notes from the 8 essentials feature of the magazine. All right. I have one more video for you. We're not going to go over the whole video, but one more video kind of explaining, again, because you guys have to think like a designer and you have to think like a journalist, okay? So this video, you saw the designer video, you saw the journalist video. Now this video is kind of a combination of both, and I'm going to skim through it. We're not going to finish this whole video. I'm going to let it start, and then we'll jump right into kind of implementation and getting into Photoshop. So if your Photoshop loads up slowly, if you've already jumped in it, go ahead and load up your Photoshop. Go ahead and load up your Lightroom, because once I get into it, I'm going to be rolling. I will have some videos for you guys to use after, you know, we go through it. But here's the introduction to magazine.
In this tutorial, we want to take a look at magazine layout. So what I've got here is a bunch of different magazines. You can tell the pages are set up all different styles. And so what we're going to look at is what really makes a magazine layout. So here's an example of one which has all the basic elements basically on a 2-page spread. We want to make sure that we have a really clear beginning title, something that captures our attention, and it works quite well when you have some sort of image that captures your attention as well, because of course the two generally relate to each other. And with that title also goes a byline, because you always have to say who the article is by. Now, with an image, you typically want to have something that tells us more information about the image, such as where the image is of, as well as sometimes it's required to have who the image is by, who the photographer is. Sometimes your photographer might be listed in the end information over here. Anyway, we want to have where our article starts, and you'll see that this article is in 3 columns. So it's got a very consistent way that this one is outlined, aligned as columns. Although sometimes articles may have different column setups, different places, because that has certain call out information in it. Anyway, our article starts here and continues on the next page, but we want to break things up with images and with text. You can see right here we have a call out, which is a quote.
Oh man, he beat me to it. So I was I was just about to ask, what do you call this little thing right here that's quoted? But as we learned from the last video and what he just said, it's the call out, right? It's the call out. If you look at it, this over here, this could be even called, like your sidebar, what we talked about. This would be like another call out. You can even look at this Olympic flag, Salt Lake City. That's more of your caption, okay? You see right here for this picture, Centennial Olympic Park, Atlanta, Georgia, another caption, all right? So these are elements when you have your project, I'm going to be looking at that. Just don't stick no picture in there and not let us know who the photographer was or where the location was. There has to be some kind of caption to let us know. So a lot of times you see magazines that say you may got a picture and you see, Associated Press. All right, that lets you know that picture came from the Associated Press, right? It's Associated Press image. Or like you see here, it lets you know that you're at the Olympic flags of Salt Lake City. Okay, it at least lets you know where you're at. Okay.
We have another call out on the image over here, which is also a quote, then an image, and then this call out right here is actually our end information, which is talking about, I believe, who the author is of this article. Now,
right, so that could be a call out, or also like we learned in the last video, you could call that a sidebar. Okay, let's move ahead a little bit.
Helps make it a little bit more interesting, but it'd be nice if we had a little bit more going on. Now, columns don't always have to be one article start.
So let me go back and kind of go over this real quickly. Now, I don't expect any of you to turn anything in with this much text. I doubt that comes from anybody unless we just have somebody who loves, we got a great writer in the class. That would be awesome. The more content, the better. Look, I'm going to read it. But this just kind of shows you the comparison from this image to the next one that you're going to see. When you have a lot of content, it's cool to break it up, right? If you got a lot of content, you can still make it more attractive, more appealing to the eye, right? If I was just flipping past this page in a magazine or online, there's nothing there that will really attract my interest in reading it, right? If there was a picture there or some colors, even if it wasn't a subject matter that I was interested in, it still may take my time and skim the article if it was designed better. So I love this, article right here to really kind of show you, even though who, what, when, where, why, all the questions you may need in the story may be in there. But as far as people really, if we take it to the digital age, it being clickbait, it's definitely not that.
Paragraph, and then you can see where we want to start reading. This one's kind of boring layout, of course, but it's got a call out, so that helps make it a little bit more interesting. But it'd be nice if we had a little bit more going on. Now, columns don't always have to be one set the entire time. You can see we've got 3 columns basically, but here we've got 2 that go across. Now this is a little bit more of a newsletter layout than a magazine layout, because you can see we have different titles for each one. So do be aware that you typically don't want to have it quite as disorganized as this when it's one magazine spread, but at least you can see that you can change things around if you want people to read different chunks of info. About this is that it's showing lots of different ways that you can use images. You can have images that have been cut out and put on top of a background. You can use the image itself as a background for the article. You can use images that are placed as in content, or you can have images that kind of stand out away from the content.
All right, so this one is huge, and this is what we will be doing today. I will design a mock article with you guys real quickly, just to kind of go over the fundamentals of Photoshop. And we are going to kind of mimic this B article, not necessarily just like this, but we're going to put some things together so you can see how something like this can be created. All right. What I like what he said about, if you look at this and you look at the different elements, you have your header here, your heading. We have your your byline. No real lead, right under it. Like, how bees decide, no real lead. It would have been nice to say, in the world of bees still make a way out of no way, or something like that. That would have been a good lead, right under there. And then, of course, the big W. I love that. That's just a design element. That's something that I like. But 3 pictures. So I like what he said. Here you have a PNG, okay? So put that down in your notes. It's a type of file, okay? So if we take a honeybee offline and we say, like, honeybee, if I Google honeybee PNG, what the PNG file means is that there's no background, okay? We are going to do that. I'm going to show you how to take the background out. But most times if you Google a picture, and again, you guys, because you may not have access to stock photos, if you take a picture for the article, it's good that you reference where it comes from. So like you see in this picture right here, it says, I think that says like stock X something. That's probably wherever they got the photo from. So, always reference with your sidebar, your caption, reference where the photo come from. But here, this right here is probably a full JPEG right here, a full picture. They just used it as the background, probably smeared the border, right, a little bit, and put the text on there. And again, looking at the colors, the contrast, this black shows well on this light blue, right? You got the black and yellow trim, right, because you're dealing with honeybees, all right? And you got another picture here. So what little design elements that I noticed, they put a drop shadow on the honeybees, the side. You see a drop shadow here on this picture. Probably wasn't there. No drop shadow here. And then you got the blur that, blurs out the rest of this image. So, basically that's kind of what we're going to be doing. And then to move forward, he has a couple other different layouts. You see subheadings here. The subheadings here all different colors, so that it's a different section, followed by this interesting like line design that points to a piece of content. All right. Move forward. This magazine right here is actually like an art magazine, right? So what you see the designer did was use kind of like artsy feel. You see blocks, very simple blocks, almost like a Picasso type feel of the layout, okay? And so make sure, you also want your layout, let it be relevant to the people that are reading it, right? So if people who are into art, they would appreciate this layout and the font that was chosen, right? As we move forward, same thing here. We don't even know this language, right? I don't know how to read this, but you can see the rules still apply. That's why I really like this example here, right? It's not English, but as far as hierarchy, lead lines, right? Bylines, the rules are all the same, no matter if it's English, Spanish, Hebrew. It doesn't matter when you're creating content. It's the same designs. It's the same rules. Okay. So here, this is a sketch, right? Magazine sketch, basic layout. This will be good if you have an idea of what you want to do. Sketch it out. You may not have an idea at all. Sketch it out. Sketch it out, and then try to replicate it in Photoshop. All right. So start with your sketch. All right. This is another example. I like this example because the picture, the whole picture itself was the background. All right. You can do this too. Okay. You can do this too. Now, the one thing I do want you to remember, if you use a picture as your main background, and this happens all the time with students. So I stress this. I stress this. If you use a picture, make sure your text is legible. Okay, we want to be able to read what you put on there. Okay, you don't want your picture to distract from the content, because at the end of the day, the content, you know, these are magazines, these are news articles that you're creating. The content and the text is what really matters, right? The pictures are really just supposed to be like support, right? Like the icing on the cake. Okay, so from this example, what you see on the screen, big background. Now, one thing, if the sky part of this picture, or if keeping on track would have been a little bit higher, it would have been very difficult to read because it would have been white on white, right? They would have had to put a white drop shadow or something so it's legible. The designer did a good job as far as keeping it in the grassy area, in the farming agriculture area, white on black, right? Or white on gray, always easy to read. And you know, the fonts are pretty consistent, right? We only see probably about 2 fonts on here. So again, pretty good layout using a big picture, okay? And we'll just kind of skim through a few more, all right? And remember what I told you last week, what Leonardo da Vinci said, and I believe it's Leonardo da Vinci. If it ain't Leonardo da Vinci, I'm just wrong. But good artists copy, great artists steal. Good artists copy, great artists steal. So I'm not telling you to be a thief, but there's nothing wrong with, if you're looking at this layout right here and you're like, I like this layout, I'm gonna copy this layout. Matter of fact, I'm gonna steal this layout and I'm just gonna change the colors, put my picture here and this and that. Honestly, I don't mind, because why? You still have to go into Photoshop, you still have to design it, right? You can make it yours, right? Everything, you know, that we see, designs, everything is really inspired by something or someone or some type of piece of art already. So if you have a creative block, right, look up articles that's similar to the things that you're interested in or similar to things that you may talk about. This one right here, this is big. All right, so after this, I am going to go ahead and jump into Photoshop. But our assignment, all right, to let you know, our assignment is basically going to be a 1-page magazine design or news article design, or 1-page layout, right, about yourself, okay, which includes pictures. I want all the design vocabulary used, the journalism, writing vocabulary that we went through in these videos. I want you to incorporate all that into your design, but you're free to do it however you want to. So if you want to do a list view, okay, like this, big 5, right? Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, you know, this is kind of old. But, you know, what if you want to say, you know, 5 things that make me Lucy, right? Or 5 things that makes me Bill, right? Or 5 things that makes me Professor Peterson, all right? And 1, boom, 2, boom, right? A list like that. You can do that. That can be your project, right? If you're somebody else who wants to give a whole biography, you know, I grew up on, you know, West Philadelphia, born and raised on the south side where I spent most of my days chilling out my friends. You want to do that and give me a whole bio? You can do that as well. And your layout be like this, that's fine, right? As long as you just keep those elements, okay? If you just want to be specific, like, you know, my name is Eddie the Rapper, okay? And your whole article is about how you've loved music your whole life. That's fine too, okay? you know, this article, this one piece of content is all about you, and you have the freedom to go to other designs and look at other platforms to really figure out, you know, how you want to lay out your project. Okay, so let me go back here. This is kind of going to be our guiding light, I guess I would say. I'm gonna put this to the side and go ahead and open up Photoshop. So if you can, go ahead and open up your Photoshop. If you have it, we want to go ahead and jump into it. When you get in, this will be your first page. We're going to create a new project. Okay. Um, you have options when you first log in. Okay. What we're going to do, we're just going to do letter. Your standard paper size, if you don't know, now you know, is 8.5 by 11. So for this project, I only expect you to do just your regular page, 8.5 by 11. If you want to do like two sides of the magazine, like an open book, feel free to do that. Just do the math, you know. So to be, you know, 8.5 times 2 and 11 times 2. So, you know, your layout would be 17 by 22 if you wanted to do like a full screen layout. But for the project requirements, you only are required to do a regular standard page. All right. So you pick the size and we go into create. If you can follow along, if you can't, just watch. Okay. This is being recorded. I will get this to you some form or fashion, even if it can't get on Blackboard. I will get it in your email. I will share it on Google Drive. Maybe I'll just make a class Google Drive for us if we can't get Blackboard functioning properly. So you can follow along with me. I am going to go kind of at a fast pace a little bit. All right. I may go kind of quick. I know the software pretty well. Just follow along if you can't. If you cannot, you get lost, just hold tight. I'll take questions at the end. And then again, you'll have this video. And then I will also provide you with some links of, you know, Photoshop tutorials. And remember, guys, and I'll repeat it again before we get off here, but this class is 1 day a week. All right. So for you to really learn these skills and be efficient at this, you're going to have to put time in out of class. You know, which you're going to have to do for your project anyway, but also allocate in that time to watch videos. Anything that you don't know how to do in Photoshop, you can find it on YouTube or you can Google it. Okay. All right. So this right here is just your basic lessons. All right. So we got our 8 by 11 screen here. If you can see my mouse, always kind of make sure that you're working here. This is the move tool. Okay. So this is like your lifesaver. This is how you do everything. Photoshop works in layers. Okay. So this is your layer area right here. So what I'm going to do, my background is white. What we'll do, we'll leave it white for now. We'll leave it right for now. But what we want to do is start a new layer. So I'm going to right click. Okay. And you could duplicate layer, which is just copy the background for us, so to get your new layer. Or you could just click this little plus sign here and you got your new layer. Okay. And we can name it layer, but later, but here's just how you do your layers. So what we're gonna do, let's kind of somewhat mimic what we saw in the video. Let's see if I can get to it. So many windows. Okay, there it is. We can put this bad boy to the side. So here, how these decide. So let's just start with our font, and I'll just say, just to be clean, because, you know, really the cleaner you make your layers, the better for you, the easier it is to find stuff. Keep that in mind. But new layer, I call this the header. So what we're going to do, we're going to start with text, right? So if you look at your sidebar, this is all your tools here, okay? So we went through briefly, move tool, okay? That's how I click and move stuff. Rectangular marquee tool, and this is also like not just rectangle, but you got all your shapes. Okay, Here you have your magic wand tool, your magnetic lasso tool. So magnetic, you know, all these, we'll get into that too. This is a lot, this has to do a lot with cutting things out, right? So if I want to take the background out or cut certain things out, this helps. When you got those dotted lines, this helps. Quick selection tool, also a big part of cutting things out. All right, magic wand, you know, we won't touch too much on that. Crop tool, we talked about cropping, right? Cropping your picture. Framing, okay. Eyedrop tool is basically if I wanted to change my color and the color that I want is already on the screen, I could take this eyedrop and use that color. Band-Aid tool, this is about like healing. We'll go over that. You boom, there it is right there on the screen. It shows you spot healing. So we'll be doing that as well. Here you got your pen tool, brush tool, clone. This also kind of is a quick healer, and so on and so on and so on. Smudge tool. But what we're focused on is our header. So we need the text tool. All right, so you click on the text tool. Now, if I was to click the background, that means what I am about to do would be on the background layer, right? So I want to make sure you always want to make sure you're on the right layer. Okay, so I'm on my header layer. So if I was to like push the eyeball here on my background, you see that my background's not there. So I'm strictly, my heading is going to be strictly on my header layer. Okay, so let's just make a shape. All right, and let's say what was it? Honeybees decide. Honeybees decide. All right, so I can't even see that because it's so small. Let's boost it up a little bit. Put a little girth on it. Okay, honeybees decide. So what's wrong with that? Well, decide is spelled wrong. All right, so let's get that together. And then as you know, anytime you do headers, you want the first word of each first letter of each word to be capitalized. Okay, so just like any other software, when you create your text, you have a lot of text options. Okay, the screen's kind of in my way, so pull down a little bit. So you got, you know, left alignment, right alignment, center, you know, crisp, sharp. We can do regular, right, 60 font. So let's change up our font a little bit. I'm not even sure what font they're using. One thing I do is like I'll just highlight the font and then I use the down arrow to kind of just scope through, see what I like. I'm gonna keep it simple though for us for class right now. So let's go with Myriad Pro, right? All right, so we'll use Myriad Pro. Let's make it bold. All right. Maybe let's take it down a little bit just for everything can fit right there. Okay. I'm going to go to my move tool here. Okay. And when you move it, all right, a lot of times you got grids that'll pop up and let you know if you're centered. Okay. So there I know I'm really centered. All right. Another thing, let's see if I can pull it out. Yeah. Okay. So I'm centered. Okay. Well, we're still want to work on this though. So if I go back to article, you see that it has a like you see the yellow on the outside or like a stroke. And then we also see a drop shadow, right? So there's a number of ways you can do this. Either if I double click this, right, I'm gonna highlight it. All right. So if I want to make changes, I can do that. However, if I want to get into the structure, what we said, the stroke of it, I will go to the layer. Okay. Now you see this gray space, right? Or white space, right? Or negative space. Remember our vocabulary terms? Well, in this layer, you got this white space here on the right. Double click that, and that brings up the layer style for you. Okay, so other options. So what I want to do is, for sure, I want to add a stroke. So we add a stroke. And if same thing, if I double click on that gray area, the stroke, so now we got the stroke color. Okay, so we want to change the color. I'm just gonna go to a yellow-ish type feel. Okay, I don't know if it's the same yellow that they were using. If we had the picture here, I could use the eyedrop and find out, but we're gonna do that stroke. Now, As I make the thickness, you see how it changes over there. So I go for 1 pixel to 111 pixel. That's a good number. It takes over. All right, so we want to go down. I think about there, so you know that it's there. We'll just say 7 again, and then I'm gonna go down to the drop shadow. Let's give it a drop shadow. Now you see, I want you to look at the text. When I click that, boom. See the difference? See how it helped? That yellow kind of doesn't stand out too much when the drop shadow is not on there, right? So you can see why they probably had the same situation, because this part of the picture, they are on white, right? So that yellow on white isn't that legible. So what do? They just adding a simple drop shadow makes it pop a little bit more, all right? So we add that drop shadow, and now here are your other options for the drop shadow, right? You can change the distance, okay? Make it as far as you want, right? But of course, we don't want to do that. The spread, okay, and how thick it is, right? I do kind of like it a little thicker, touching, ain't nothing wrong with that. Size, all right, you see that? All right, you could make it blurry like that if you wanted, but I like it where it's, it's a little clean, so you can, sharp, baby, sharp like the letters. And then the opacity. So opacity, you see, deals with basically clarity, how dark or how light it's gonna be. Okay, so we're gonna make it a little darker because I believe they had theirs, pretty dark. All right, so we'll do that. And again, this isn't the prettiest, but we're just going through it. So honeybees decide, okay? All right, so we'll just do that. And of course, that's another font. Now let's look at adding in some text, right? So we already know how the text box works, so let's do it again. Let's add another text box. As a matter of fact, I want to add maybe some lorem ipsum or something. Let's see if I can find some lorem ipsum. Now, so if you don't know what that is, that's just a bunch of dummy text. A bunch of dummy text, basically. All right, so we're gonna copy this. And this is just for us, doesn't mean anything at all. So can't upgrade right now. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna chop this up real quick. So just watch. Time is running out. Freaking Zoom is not respecting our teacher qualifications, but it's all right. But so we got this area here. Okay, what I'm gonna do, got my text. So it looks crazy, but that's because our font is way too big. So let me undo. And if you Command Z, you can get rid of all of this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make this real easy. I'm gonna delete this layer. Delete layer and start over. All right, so text, pull this out, do something like this. Let's change it to maybe 30. Yeah, that's fine. We'll just use 30 for now. Let's make it regular. And see, it's still just keeping our information that we had before. Let's see. Let's see if we do, let's change the font up to something more like Arial Black. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's change this font a little bit. So, all right, yeah, so that's what we'll do. Let's just say paste it. We'll just paste it. So this is just for looks, all right? I'm just trying to get the layout good for you guys. So Let's say maybe we put that there. And again, I just want to put this up here just for formatting so you guys can kind of just see that content, of course, is going to be you guys, right? But let's say I want to do a byline. I mean, a lead. Let's do a lead here. Okay. Okay, we got a lead here. And, maybe, and again, I'm going to change this. Like if you look to the right, let's say I can change it to lead. All right. If you click on the text, if you can see that in your bottom right of the corner, if I click on the text, all right, I can make that the lead. I can make, this is the body. All right. I want to make it a body. And this helps keep your, you know what's what when you're editing it. All right. So I can move this if I want to. Move this if I want to. Okay. Now, adding pictures. Let me show you this real quick. Place embedded. I actually already took some pictures offline. All you got to do is really Google them. Let's see. NT. Visuals. Where did I put that? Oh, magazine design. Okay. So, honeybee. Let's use this one. Okay, let's use this one first. All right. All right, so how I did that, I did file, okay, place embedded, all right, and then I went to my browser, okay. So let's kind of do how they did, all right. What I'm gonna do, I'm grabbing the corner of this picture and I'm holding Option. Now when I hold Option and I size this, it stays equal on all sides, okay. When I hold Option and move up and down, it stays equal on all sides, okay. So remember that. So let's say I'm gonna put it down, I press enter, okay? Let's say we put this here, all right? Okay, and maybe we wanna add another sidebar, right? Something small. And they're still trying to fit everything in there, but we don't want that. Let's just say honey bee food, right? Let's just say honeybee food. Okay, we know that's there. Now, if I click on this layer, okay, I'm on honeybee food, that little sidebar. Okay, now I can move it. I can grab it and move it, right? I can also push Command T, and that means I can resize it. And if you see, if I go to the edge, see how my arrow switches? All right, so I can make it on the side. All right, press enter. Okay, now it's on the side, and you saw how it was on the in the magazine. Now I have like a little caption on the side of my picture. Okay. Another quick skill. Let's see. I'm gonna add another picture. So I'm gonna go File, Place Embedded. Okay. I pulled a honeybee off the internet. So another JPEG, right? So this is what we're gonna do. I'm just gonna press enter. All right, let's say you got a picture, and what I'm gonna do real quickly, I said we got about 3 minutes left before I lose you. So I'm gonna take away the background, the body. All I'm doing is pressing the eyes here. Takes away everything that you can see. You press that eye, all that disappears. All right, so I want you guys to see this. If you go to the top left, you see the quick selection tool. All right, we may have to change the size, and here you can change the size of it. You can make it big as you want. If I come down here, it's huge. I can make it smaller. I'm probably gonna do about right here so I can get into the legs. If you do the quick selection tool, so say you Google something, it comes, you just want it to be, it has a background, you can do the quick selection tool. And again, I'm doing this rough just because we don't have much time. You can take your time and get like real detailed. Okay, there's also a tool you can go inch by inch. I'm just gonna do it real quick because if I do the whole thing, like once it gets around white here, it could easily take this whole block. So now I will have to start over. But the computer is smart enough a lot of times to see the separation in color. So I'm just gonna do that. So from there, I go to select, right? So select is what you have selected already. I'm gonna select the inverse, okay? Select inverse, and then I'm going to press delete, okay? So you got some could not request because it's smart. This is a smart object. It's not directly editable. So what you do for that, you just go to the erase tool. You click on the object. It's going to ask, can it be rasterized? You say okay, okay, and now you can press delete, and everything that you highlighted will be inside. So let's pretend that that B is highlighted real nice. It's not. I expect you to, but it's not. So we'll say deselect, so we just know it's not. You know, and if we wanted to downsize it, again, we can do. Well, matter of fact, let me bring everything back first so you can see it all. 90B. Let's bring it all back. Remember, we're just clicking the eyes here. Stroke, all that's back. So everything's back now. We cut out our B. Not the best cutout. Again, we're just doing this off of time. So I'm on my B layer. I'm gonna do Command T so I can change the size of it. Remember, if I hold Option, it's gonna stay the same size on both sides. So let's say I wanna put, you know, I want to do my B like that. Bring my B. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Erase. So always make sure you go back to your tool. Maybe I want to put my B here. Now, the thing about layers, okay, something you want to remember as well. Wherever your layer is, it's going to show up on top. So if I want my honeybee to be below my text, right, let's say below the body, boom, I would drag it down. So now it's below. If I wanted to get a couple more extra options, I would double click and do it that way. But let me stop my share before we go. So we're running out of time, but that is your assignment. Okay, check Blackboard. I will have everything you need up there for as the Blackboard and the details on what I want from the assignment. So check that. I will have that up by the end of the day. If it's not up there, you will get an email. Okay, you will get an email. I think we have less than a minute, but is there any questions that you can get in before the video stops? If the video stops, feel free to hit my email right now, or you can actually call my cell phone. I'm gonna be, my office hours I'm gonna be up for like another hour, some change. So if you have any additional questions,